And we are back with another great episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 11, Shattered. And we all knew this was going to be a heartbreaking episode, and it certainly delivered. And despite the fact that our heroes have been victorious, they've captured Maul, and Bo-Katan now has control over Mandalore, there's a very ominous feeling to the beginning of this episode, and it certainly doesn't feel like a true victory. I loved how during Bo-Katan and Ahsoka's conversation, Ahsoka mentions that she's learned from the best, including Bo-Katan herself. This is why she was able to capture Maul. And certainly I think that is one of the strengths of the Ahsoka character, is that despite the fact that Anakin was her master, she also had Obi-Wan, Padme, and all these other amazing influences on her life. I believe it's a big reason why she didn't fall to the dark side like her master, Anakin Skywalker. I also really liked from this conversation how Ahsoka tells Bo-Katan that her people need a new kind of leader, hinting at the fact that the Mandalorians need to change their warrior ways, something I've discussed on the channel previously and I'll link in the cards. But moving on, we have Ahsoka meeting with the Jedi Council, where she confirms once again that she is a citizen and not a Jedi, and makes an important statement for us the audience that the war could almost be over. From her perspective and Rex's perspective, and the Republic seems to be winning it. It certainly seemed like the fate of the Star Wars universe was hanging in the balance during that meeting, and Ahsoka could have had a massive impact on it if she had spoken up about Anakin. As Rex mentions after she signs off with the council, you didn't tell them what Maul said about General Skywalker. And at first I was thinking, yeah, why didn't she do that? But of course she didn't. She knows what it's like to be prosecuted wrongfully by the Jedi Council, and she certainly doesn't trust Maul at this point. Nor does she think that there's any way that Anakin could become a Sith apprentice. It just totally makes sense to me. And what else makes sense to me is the fact that there's a complete lack of dialogue as they are loading Maul onto the shuttle and taking him up to the cruiser. I love the music at this point in the episode. It gives us that ominous feeling that we know something is coming. And the setup for that moment continues once we get back to the ship and Ahsoka and Rex are on the bridge and they're having a conversation about the war. It's a moment for our heroes to reflect on the war, because at this point it seems like the war might be won. Dooku is dead, Grievous could be eliminated by Obi-Wan, but then this feeling is completely shattered by Rex being called away and Order 66 being given by Darth Sidious himself. It was absolutely heartbreaking to hear Rex say, "Yes, Lord Sidious," like he's been a traitor this entire time. And then we all have that question where we're wondering, is Rex going to execute Order 66? And it looks like he's physically trying to resist it, and he tells Ahsoka to find out about Fives. But in the end, he succumbs to his training and he fires on Ahsoka. Luckily, Ahsoka manages to escape through the ceiling, and the chase is on. Rex gives the order to execute Maul and track down Ahsoka. I thought it was interesting that he mentioned to the clones that if they didn't follow Order 66, they would be executed too. That said, my absolute favorite scene in this episode is when Ahsoka rescues Maul from the Republic troops. It was great for me to discover that Maul didn't know the actual plan, which I assumed he did last week. His vision just told him about some of the horrible things that were coming, or at least hinted at them. It was cool to see Maul take a moment to marvel at his master's plan, the fact that Sidious had used the Jedi's army against them. But the absolute best part of this scene is when Ahsoka states, "I'm not here to team up with you." I was certainly a little shocked. I thought that's exactly how things were going to go, Maul and Ahsoka escaping together. But she does set him free, and ultimately her goal is to get him to cause a diversion, which he certainly does. And I thought it was a really interesting move by the writers to have Ahsoka team up with the droids at this point. And with the help of the droids, Ahsoka is able to find out more about Fives and the inhibitor chip that has programmed the clones to follow Order 66. And armed with this knowledge, she's able to track down and capture Rex and take him to the medical droid. And with a little bit of help from the Force and a callback to Chirrut Îmwe, she's able to remove his inhibitor chip, and Rex actually ends up saving her as the clones are breaking into the medical bay. I thought it was also awesome in this episode that Maul gets a Vader-like scene in which he's marching down the hallway, taking out clone after clone. It's really too bad he didn't have his lightsaber that I suppose maybe that would have been too much like Vader's scene. Overall, I thought this was a fantastic episode, and I thought the strength of the episode actually comes leading up to Order 66. The ominous tone of the music and the limited dialogue leading up to that moment really felt like a feature film. And I felt once we actually got to Order 66, we lost a little bit of that ominous feeling. But overall, great work by Dave Filoni and his crew. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, I'm Mike. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.